Some people are hearing a whining noise from the new Mac Studio. Is it a widespread issue or is it just isolated? Where is it? Let me talk about that and a whole bunch of other Apple stories. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to touch on that story, and then I have a bunch of other stories. I have a cool hard drive coming up for Apple. Basically, Apple products, services, and news I'm going to touch on in this video. So if you're interested in Apple, definitely stay tuned, and we'll go through a bunch of different stories for you. But story number one is really going to be about the Mac Studio. It's obviously the brand new system Apple just released. They have two primary versions. One's going to be the M1, I guess, Max, and then the other one's the M1 Ultra, which is the more expensive one. It looks like the whining noise that people are hearing is really in the M1 Max. So it's going to be the cheaper unit. I think that has the aluminum enclosure, like the aluminum cooling versus the copper. And a lot of people are hearing this, and there's been people reported that actually returned the units, and then they Apple shipped them back with a new unit, and they heard it again. So it's not like it's that uncommon. They just don't have a percentage on it, maybe like less than 10%. Some comments down here. One of the people in this article, I'll share my screen here. I just unboxed the Mac Studio with M1 Max, 64 gigs. There is definitely an annoying noise that's exactly 2120 hertz. I compared this using a sinus wave generator. I'm pretty sure it comes from the fan and is not the coil whine, since the frequency changes when the fan speed changes. So might be the fan, it might be something a software update can do, but is it affecting the cooling? It's hard to tell right now. So Apple Insider and Mac Rumors have stories on this. You can go ahead and just search for those on there. Just wanted to let people know it's an ongoing issue, I guess, and they're going to try to figure that out. All right, for story number two, do you guys remember almost every YouTuber in the world has kind of the orange bumper? I actually have it too. I'll show you some pictures of it up here. But the orange bumper hard drives, because it's more or less rugged, I guess, if you're taking it outside and stuff. Samsung's come out with a new lineup, I guess. It's a new part of their lineup to the T7. It's called the Shield. So if you like rugged hard drives, this could be the one that replaces it, because it is an NVMe hard drive SSD. And I'll give you some speeds, things and stuff like this, but I'll show you pictures as we go along here as well. It looks like, let me go through here. It looks like, and I'll get into pricing as well. It's on Amazon, and I'll have links to it if you guys want to check it out in my description. But long story short is it's very similar to the T7. It's going to have very similar speeds. It looks like, I think Apple Insider did a test, and it was between 800 and 1,000 megabytes per second. So that's what you're going to get. I mean, whichever way you slice it, I think that's about as fast as you can get in a drive like this. This format of it right now. Comes in three different colors: black, blue, and kind of a sand color. And I'll show you those to you here as well. So the kind of the claim to fame here is it's just super rugged, right? So it's going to be it's a little bit thicker, and I'll get into sizes. It's a little bit thicker, but it's got kind of a shell or a rubberized shell on it, NVMe. So that's the first touch of it. Here's the three different colors, but really it says it's drop proof within 3 meters, so up to about 9 feet or so. IP65 water and IP65 sand. So you can see it here. That's the claim to fame. I'll show you some pictures. So if you're interested in this, you can pick one up on Amazon. And is this going to replace the rubber bumper? My guess is yes. All right, so Apple kind of came out supposedly with a firmware update on the new Mac Studio display, so we're talking about that again, but this is the display. They had some issues with the camera, so the camera wasn't as clear as people thought it should be, and long story short, it wasn't. And what they did is they did kind of a software update. It's kind of funny because I'll actually, show you some examples right now as I'm talking. This is actually, let me see, it's from Apple Insider. I think this is their actual YouTube station, but they do a side-by-side comparison here, and if you look at that, you can see that it's not really that much of a difference. The end result was they thought it wasn't too much of a difference either. They thought it was very similar to what it was before. Some people actually thought it got worse. Some people thought it got a little bit better, if anything. That was one change that Apple made, and then they also made the center stage a little bit less aggressive so that it doesn't, crop in so much on people's faces. That's the other update, I guess, they made with that update. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, is that something that's been fixed? Or, for that much money, I think that camera should have been a lot better. They have a lot of room to work with, too, on that. I think they just maybe reused something that was older. But long story short, it is what it is. They try to update it, and it doesn't look like it really was successful. All right, the next story is just about the Apple iPhone. So is it growing or is it shrinking overall? In one of my other videos, I made a video about like the mini one, the one that's very small, kind of shrinking. But overall, it looks like iPhone was the only really major cell phone company to have a rise in sales. So it looks like that's the only company that rose last quarter was the iPhone. So that's good news for Apple. Keeps going up as far as the user base. Looks like they account for, it was about 8% growth over last year as far as the same quarter. Samsung has about 23.4% of the total market. Apple still has about 18%, but like I said, that's rising. So I think in the next couple of years, they're going to get very close. Samsung and Apple both kind of they've been very successful at the supply chain so far with their phones. I think they made a bunch of them in advance, or they had some plans because of some of the Chinese lockdowns right now. So anyways, long story short, it says that overall smartphones dropped by like between 9 and 11% in the last year or something like that, just because of people aren't buying them as often. But Apple still rose, and you know, that's probably something to say that people are still buying Apple. All right, so the next story is very similar, and I'll just read it to you and then we can kind of explain it. It says Apple sees March quarter records for iPhone, which we just talked about, but also Mac and services and more. So it looks like since they just released a huge line of Macs, and obviously we just talked about the Studio and all the new MacBooks and everything else, they're having kind of record years, and it keeps growing and growing, even though it looks like a lot of the other industries are having issues and stuff around the world. So it looks like the total revenue is up about 9% per year. So the graph over here, we can see it's just been growing steadily. This is 2015 on the left over here, all the way over here to 2022. And so overall, Apple's having absolutely no issues, even though the economy's not, inflation's really high and people probably have less money right now. It's just kind of crazy. They just keep going and going and going. All right, so the next story is about the iPhone 14. I think you may have seen this before, maybe you haven't. They have a kind of an alleged leaked photo of the iPhone right now and what it's going to look like for the 14. A lot of people have a lot of problems with it. They call it kind of a circle and pill or something. So it's going to have like two cutouts instead of the notch. That's what they think. So if you look over here at the screen here, this is kind of the I guess, photo that someone took, and it was posted, it looks like on, let me see, Weebio or something, some Chinese site. They call it a pill and hole cutout. So it's possibly thinner bezels is really what they came out with, and then also maybe a taller profile. But if you look at this, I mean, here's some of the examples they show you in here. This is posted by SARAN. You can see that a lot of people just don't like that. They want to get rid of the notch altogether, and here we are kind of giving two of them. So a lot of people in here, just if I read some of the comments, it says, oh my God, 2 holes punched, it's hideous. I wouldn't be caught dead with that. I don't know if I'd go that far, obviously. And then why is it a pill and hole any better than a notch? Who knows? And then the other person says, I think the notch probably looks better, but we'll have to wait and see because that's not exactly, legitimate. So at the end of the day, is it or is it not? We'll find out, but it's just funny. You can take a look at that now. All right, and then the final story is kind of just a fun story. It's kind of cool though. So if you follow YouTube, and you follow people that like Macs, you probably heard of Luke. I think it's called Mayani. I think that's his name, Luke Mayani. So anyways, he's got a channel out there. Check him out. He's great. He does almost all, just kind of like I do, almost all Apple and Mac stuff. He's a little bit more substantial channel than me. I'm just a small channel. Long story short, though, if you look at this, he had a video just came out. I'll show you some pictures here as I'm talking about it. But he took I think it was like a 2015 or 2014 15, I think it had to be, but the 5K iMac, he took the 27-inch, and he took out all the guts of it, and then he put it back in with some other type of controller he bought, and he made, for around, I think he said around $800 or something, he made a 5K compatible display, just kind of like the Studio display. So he made it. I mean, there's obviously some caveats. I'll show you. There's some holes in the back and stuff as you see the pictures come through. But it looks really good, and it did work out for him actually. He was able to put in a laptop or something, and it worked perfectly fine. So, not saying if you have some kind of technical knowledge, I wouldn't recommend this for most people. You might end up ruining both systems. Maybe you can sell the internals, but you got to be careful taking that apart too with the power supply and stuff. A lot of work. It's not worth it. I know it. It's just something fun to watch. So if you're interested in Apple and kind of crazy projects, watch that. All right, thanks again for watching, and I hope you guys like these stories. Again, I'm still having a little bit of an eye issue, so I'm having a little bit of problem editing, so I'm kind of doing some of these intermediate type stories. But we will talk to everybody soon in the next one, hopefully in a couple days. Peace.